Previously on Star Wars: Darkest Dawn. Our heroes, the Voidhounds, were given an emergency task in order to scramble immediately and to make their way to Zyphor Prime, a small planet near Kinyon on the Corellian trade spine. They were to help with the ongoing evacuation of the remaining population that remained planet-side. Lord Toronar had advised the team that they had received word, likely through a spy, that the Empire was coming in with an extermination order for everyone there. It was believed that the small port was being used for rebel activity, but in truth, it hadn't been, and all of their lives were in jeopardy. Bringing in their own light freighters, the Void Hunters helped hatch a plan to keep the Empire at bay long enough for the remainder of the citizens to finish boarding and flee the system. Using the head of a T-Series tactical droid and laying out an ambush, the team was able to utilize abandoned Separatist droids to help cover their escape and flee into the black of space.
Weird, but okay. Ready to go. So we are back. We are live. Let me pull that window down, and we are good to go. We have some people who aren't on camera, or I guess aren't here.
Matt said he was having
yeah.
issues, so he was restarting his system.
Gotcha. Okay.
I'm doing camera stuff, trying to figure out. Yeah, okay. Which way I was too far.
Right. All right. So we already had a recap going. For those of you who are watching a live stream and maybe tuned in right away, we usually at the very beginning of the stream, there's about a minute or two of audio where I do a movie announcer voice, very similar from the announcer you might have heard from Clone Wars, to do a recap. And of course, your fan is back. Montan is the real hero of the galaxy.
Yes.
That's right.
Oh,
He's the only one here with a fan.
You get double allowance this week.
That's fun.
Well, let's see. Nothing plus nothing, carry the nothing, minus nothing. All right, so obviously we have Nazara back with us. She's been, her player has been away for a bit. Silly marriages and family outings and
she was hugging Jesus.
cruises and huggy Jesus and
Huggy Jesus.
not even a hugging Jesus, it's huggy.
Mm-hmm.
For those of you who are not in on that joke, one of our players, Justin, had made that comment a while back because he couldn't remember where that statue was, and he couldn't remember what that statue was doing, and so he just described it as huggy Jesus.
Yep.
Which is the Jesus statue in Rio, which he thought was in Argentina.
Yeah.
Yes, I posted in the chat, but in the gift shop there, they had a pillow of like the Jesus statue, and I regret that I didn't buy that pillow.
You should have.
I should have. At the time, I was like, what am I going to do with this? Or like, how am I going to carry this? But now maybe I can find one online. I'm going to start looking.
I'm sure
You
they
need to
ship.
send one to Justin.
Yeah, there you go.
Here
He
you
just
go.
gets it one day. Like,
He'd be like, what are you saying?
Specifically for your head. Huggy Jesus.
Justin, you need Jesus.
Yes, you do. You need a hug.
Yeah, speaking of which, there's another Stephen E quote. I will send you to Jesus.
Yeah. You know, I've told my son that a couple of times.
All right, so back in character. So as of this point, for a brief recap to catch up from the end of last game, I know some of you have or were spending time at the hangout or hideout, I should say, while you were waiting for the heat to die down after that daring raid to rescue everybody.
Yes.
So at this point, it has been 2 more days beyond that point, and you have managed to fly back now to Pelagia, or I should say to Pelagon, and you are back on. You have docked with the Pelagian star in orbit and taking a shuttle back down planet side, so you are back at home base. I will leave it up to you guys at this point as to what it is you're going to do. I don't know if you guys want to call a meeting and get Nasara caught up, or go out on the town, or whatever have you.
we could do that, yeah. Since we got back, let's see here. So I take it, did we already like debrief then with Lord Tarnar, or is he even here?
He is.
Okay.
Obviously not here. He's at his estate, but yes.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, he is aware. There may be updates that you're unaware of as of this point, but yes, he is aware. He is around, and you guys have gotten caught up, and everything is hopefully back in order.
Okay. Gotcha. Did we receive any payment for that? I don't think he mentioned any in the initial.
Yeah, because that was an emergency gig.
Okay.
That was a get your ass to Mars Arnold sort of routine. Just
Yeah.
you got to go.
Right. Okay.
But yeah, so standard fees at this point apply with the maximum escalator for the danger, just as a bonus because you were thrown into the heat of it and had to pick up a bunch of people.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Then let's see. Yeah, Drade will go ahead and contact everybody on comms and be like, "Hey, how about we all meet somewhere and go over what just happened, debrief ourselves, and we can let Geely know what was going on too."
Oh,
So I'll get on comms and say, hey, welcome back. It's good to hear from you.
Likewise, you're not busy at the moment, are you?
No, I'm ready for action.
Excellent. Then how about we all head to my condo, and we'll go over what we can do now, what just happened, ways to improve, if any, all that jazz. Meet me there as soon as you can, everybody.
On my way.
Roger that.
Roger.
Should expect that from Montana.
So are you just meeting at the apartment then?
Yeah.
That you get? Okay, sure. So that most of you are already there, and of course, just to remind you guys, the city that you're at, the cities on Pelagon are cities that sit on top of the water, much like Mon Calamari surface cities, because they're on ocean planets. So, or if you're familiar with the Selkath from Manan in the Knights of the Old Republic series, I think it was part 1. They have planets up there too. Thank you, Onyx Path, giving us a raid. Thank you very much. Woohoo!
Welcome.
But your particular, which is kind of common for a lot of places here on Pelagon, you have a balcony at the apartment, and it overlooks the ocean.
Okay.
So that's kind of a nice view, although it's not a huge balcony.
Sure. So, once everyone gets there, closes the door so that we've all got privacy, and he's like, make yourselves comfortable. So, congratulations yet again to everybody. As far as getting through that, we had to throw everything together, and we managed to do it. Nasara, you should have been there.
I wish I had been. Sounds like you had some
Emotional
interesting
damage.
action.
We were
Oh,
big
yeah.
damn heroes.
It's true. It's true. Did Lord Torrenar fill you in on anything that happened?
Yeah,
there?
I heard. I heard some of it. Yeah, but I mean, nothing beats a first-hand account. If you want to tell me anything particular.
Well, some things that happened, and one thing that we're going to have to deal with at this point. But as you probably heard, we all had to take off pretty quick to get to Zyphor Prime to save those residents there, the colonists who were there at the port city. We did manage to do it, but we had to fight our way out. The Empire got there shortly after we did. It was pretty tight, but we had enough on our side, and the group that called us there, Fulcrum, along with Lord Torrenar, boy, they really knew what they were doing, strategizing, getting everybody in the right place at the right time to make that happen. If we were like a few minutes later, that would have been a lot more difficult, but we had everything we needed at the same time. We even met up with,
Excellent.
I think, Void 3. I know I mentioned this, but I keep thinking about it, and it has to be Void 3. They were a designation because we were the Void Hounds. We're Void 1. They were Void 3. He had that Naboo ship along with a couple of droid tri-fighters. I'm pretty sure it was Akani who was piloting that. The cybernetic force user that we met at our hideout a while back.
Oh yeah, the one we were transporting transferring our target rescue to.
That's right. Yeah, he joined in. He was extremely helpful. Boy. But we did it. We managed to get out of there, splash, boy, 8, 9, possibly 10 different TIE fighters. We managed to get out of there. Only took a little bit of damage to shield drainer on the Blue Saber. Need to make sure that gets repaired. But yeah, Jairus, I don't think your ship got damaged at all, did it?
No, just some grazes along the shields. Cybernetic.
Yeah.
Not a combination of words commonly applied.
That is true. That is true. Yeah, that's pretty rare to see that. But rest assured, when we met him the first time, he was on the level. He's clearly an ally. And if that was him, and I can't think of who else it would have been, he's again definitely still on our side and helping us out. He is very unique, though. I'll give you that. I've never met anybody like him.
What do you mean?
Well, all right. So the Force itself is sometimes referred to as the living force. And the main reason for that is there's a relationship between life and the Force itself. Many think that life creates the Force. Others think the Force helps life come about. No one is really quite sure, but there's definitely a relationship there because wherever there is life, there is the Force. And it actually spans throughout the galaxy, possibly everywhere, as far as we can tell. And I mention this because when you get into places where there isn't a lot of life, that's typically where the dark side dwells, or there's just less intense flow of the Force itself. And that can
Okay.
happen within individuals if you start replacing parts. Like, I never really knew any Jedi who had cybernetic replacements unless it was absolutely necessary. Like, if they had a hand removed somehow.
Amputation.
Right. But to the
A
degree that...
common danger when wielding light swords, I'm sure.
True.
Suppose that I'd be surprised if more Jedi didn't lose hands that way.
It is dangerous. We learn ways to mitigate that danger, and there's a lot of training involved, but yeah, as far as cybernetic enhancements go, you almost never see that with Jedi especially, because it can, to a degree, actually hamper the use of the Force. But in him, it doesn't seem like it did. He is strong with it, surprisingly so. And I'd never heard of him before.
Maybe it disproves your rule.
It might. I'm just not sure.
Are you familiar with that many Force users? that you'd be surprised to encounter someone who wasn't familiar?
Just going off of memory, back when the Order was still around, I knew many Jedi, but I had never heard of ever. Maybe once again, like if somebody unfortunately lost a limb, a hand, an ear, something small had to be replaced. It did happen, rarely, but it did. But to his degree, and for him to still have such a good control over manipulating the Force, it's impressive,
Interesting.
to say the least.
I'm just curious. I don't really know a lot of the organizational elements, of your order.
Understandable. We didn't
Well,
exactly advertise how that worked.
Guardians of the Galaxy, then Intergalactic Traders. It's been a campaign.
True. That's true.
Intergalactic. Wow.
Isn't that what we are now?
No, we've only been to one galaxy.
We are interstellar.
We're interstellar, but we're not intergalactic. I didn't know
guess
the
that's
Jedi
true.
went so far.
Well, how many groups were moving citizens off world?
There was
There
us.
Yeah, there's quite a few, actually.
Let's see. Yeah, there were several freighters that were available. Didn't know if they had any designation. Void 3 with Akani and his Tri-Fighters, they were just on support for defense and attack. We had both roles. We had to pick up a bunch of people and fight off the enemy as we escaped.
Where are they now?
We dropped them off on Coin so that they can then be ferried away to other locations so that it's harder for the Empire to find them and retaliate.
Sounds like a solid operation.
It was. Went off pretty well.
What
What have you been up to?
Yeah, so that same morning, I actually had a interesting bit of business to take care of, and okay, so I mentioned that I'm from Onderon, and my late husband was a politician. I didn't tell you that he was the prince.
I thought he was the king.
He's the king. Was.
King.
Yeah, you told us that.
Right.
My lady.
And that's the basis for that bounty that was put out on me and my son, the rightful heir to Onderon. The Baroness actually spoke with me about options to get that taken care of, keep it from hanging over our heads, and to give my son a better chance to live without that fear. And so she arranged a meeting with the current ruler, the man who worked with the Empire to overthrow my house and murdered my son, or my husband. And we actually came to an agreement. My son will relinquish any claim to the throne, and in return, the bounty would be canceled.
I see.
So
But it wasn't canceled because they almost got you.
no, we just made this arrangement
Oh,
to call
Okay.
off the bounty. So my son will now be able to choose his own future, and theoretically, I won't have to hide myself anymore, except when it's operationally convenient. So there's that.
Well, congratulations for that degree of freedom. I'm sorry it had to come at such a high socio-political cost.
so do we have to continue to call you Geely?
I think we don't have to. We might check the
Maybe
registers.
only during missions.
We should verify that I'm not currently on any lists anywhere, but barring that, should be able to use my name again.
All right.
Yeah.
The reprieve sounds nice, but we're working hard to give the Empire a whole new reasons to hate us. So,
So it
enjoy
would seem.
rest.
Maybe I'll keep that identity in my back pocket.
Probably a good idea.
I miss hearing my name.
Well,
Yeah.
at some point, hopefully, we can all live more freely again.
I don't. That guy's gone.
And that's perfectly fine. All of us get to be who we want to be, at least eventually. Well, okay. Looks like at least some positive things all around. That's great. We made some people free. You gained some freedom. We're a little bit free right now. I'm sure any moment now we're going to get a call from Lord Toronar. But in the meantime, how about we get something to eat and see what we can do? See about
Sounds
plan
great.
stuff. All right.
That actually sounds good.
So, Drake gathers his things and heads out with everybody to that local cantina that we've been to before.
Okay. That is that was the nice one that sat up a couple levels on the platform, if I remember correctly.
That sounds right. Yeah.
Okay, well, I mean, it's during the day, so it's a little slow in here right now. But there's a few people here. Pretty much all of them are human.
Oh, it's one of those bars.
Yeah, it's one of those bars. There is a Herglick bartender who is slinging drinks right now, first thing in the afternoon, or taking order for any potential finger foods. Place is well lit right now. It's not dim or murky by any means. Of course, it has a nice outdoor platform across from it that gives you great views of the oceans that are here. But of course, in doing so, you're also reminded that Pelagon still has several platforms that are that were destroyed in the onslaught a couple of years ago when the houses went to war.
All right. So, yeah, Drain will go ahead and order, and he'll pay for everybody's meals. So he's like, no matter what it is, go for it. Order it. I'll pay for it.
Wow.
Are we getting our split? Was there something to split?
Let's see here. So then, Jerome, I know you mentioned like there were escalators and stuff, but what would the do we know what the credit amount would have been?
Well, yeah, it should have been. It was the standard base. Let me see if I can get that pulled up for you.
Let's see.
I was trying to find in my notes where that was.
Yeah.
Really need to set it off.
It's in my story. Very top.
Here we go. Contract escalators, high value recovery 10 to 20%, extreme danger plus 20 to 30% off of. It doesn't say.
Okay, yeah, so it doesn't say. So you guys
Whatever
would
the
be
fee would be.
you guys would have been given a total of 20K for that one, and then add a plus 30 for the extreme danger, 30% for the extreme danger.
Okay.
And don't give me any of that because I wasn't there.
26,000.
Yep, 26,000. Okay. Let's see. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So then divide that 5 ways. 26,000 divided by 5. So yeah, he goes ahead and passes out to each of us, and he would have done this for Dorn as well. So each of us, except for Nasara, gets 5,200 credits. Right. So he's like, "Yep." So this was our fair share. Beyond that, yeah, I haven't gotten any additional word from Lord Tornar about what's happened with them as far as the civilians we rescued or anything, but we at least got paid.
Yeah, hopefully we don't have to do something like that again soon.
You didn't happen to meet any of the other Fulcrum agents, did you?
Did we?
Don't think we did. If there were any there, they were in disguise or something, but seems like they were mostly hands off. They just, like Lord Tornar, kind of strategized and gathered all the resources there. We were the ones on the ground doing all the work.
Oh, I see. That makes sense. I'm really curious how extensive this underground movement is.
I get the feeling it's been building for a bit with how organized they've been. And it seems Lord Tornar has at least gathered his resources to a degree, but, well, it's good that this type of organization exists so far. If it wasn't, those people and a lot of other people, I'm sure, would be just taken advantage of by the Empire.
Definitely.
I mean, you have to assume that the Empire's being the Empire everywhere, and that breeds dissent.
One interesting thing to note is while we initially thought we were being designated the Void Hounds, the Saber is designated Void 3, which means there's a Void 2 that we haven't seen yet, and Void 1. So
You're Void 2.
why am I Void 2?
Because the Blue Saber was Void 1. I'm sorry, I forgot the name of your ship.
The Skimming Minoc.
Just give me my back. That's right.
Yeah, that's right. So anyway, you would be Void 2. Someone who was just joining the party would see 1, 2. They would call themselves Void 3.
But do you find it interesting that that person would know of us as the Void Hounds and use that same designation.
They may have been given more information. They may have been with Fulcrum for longer than we have. A lot of that's going to be compartmentalized. The left hand doesn't
Sure.
necessarily know what the right hand's doing and vice versa, but
Safer
that's for
that way,
security.
for sure. Mm-hmm. Just think that's really interesting.
And at that point, there is a chime on your comm link there, Drade. And it sounds
Full
like
stop.
the phone for Austin Powers.
Groovy. So he takes a look, answers it.
So it is Lord Torinar, and he says, Drade, I need you to gather the team. There is a meeting that you are being requested.
Understood. At your estate per normal or elsewhere?
Correct. Non-emergency.
Excellent.
Should
We'll
we
all be
bring-
there soon.
Sorry, go ahead.
So then he looks up from his comlink. It's Lord Torinar. He's asked for a meeting at his location. What I haven't finished, but a to-go bag. Let's see what he needs.
Okay, here we go.
Well, you get whatever you may have ordered or have partly nibbled on to go, finished up your drinks, and eventually go back to the speeder landing. And you guys are shuttled from there across the way back over to the lush estates of Lord Torinar and his retinue. Invited, obviously, into the office are Drade and Nisara. The rest of you will hang out in the waiting room as per normal.
To the Sidekick Lounge.
Yes, to the Sidekick Lounge. They actually have some drinks waiting for you, and there are some little like the little sandwich bites, like you might see with like a little bit of bread and cucumber. A little bit of salt drizzled onto it, sort of thing. I got a tray of those in case anybody is interested.
Appetizers.
Appetizers.
Hors d'oeuvres.
Yeah, there you go.
Hors d'oeuvres.
Hors d'oeuvres.
Hors d'oeuvres.
Yeah, hors d'oeuvres.
I am so tired of these. I wish they weren't so trendy.
So he's there, kind of leaning against his desk at this point, and he says, so I hope you two have enjoyed the brief bit of time off, forcibly so, given the circumstances, but the Fulcrum Network has another job for you. However, this is a meetup. Even I don't have the rest of the details to spare, but you are being given a location to go to and to meet a contact.
Understood. Is that all the info we have so far? Meet with the contact and they'll tell us the rest?
Correct. You're actually going to be going to a work site and be meeting them directly. So your contact will be waiting for you on the landing pad and escort you to whoever is in command at that time.
Any
We
way
have
we
a-
should identify ourselves to that contact?
From my understanding, you will be identified as the Voidhounds.
Excellent.
We have a name or a description of that contact. Do they know what we look like, or how do we know that they're the right one?
You will actually be taken to them. From my understanding, you're going to be meeting the Scrap Bees.
All right. Where will this meeting be? Where are we flying to?
He gives an off-planet name. It is it's a small, somewhat uncharted jungle planet off of the Carillion trade spine. I think is what they called it. It's Not the same location you guys were before. I'm just trying to think of the name of the place again, or the trade route.
Yeah.
Carillion
you're right.
Trade
Carillion
Spine.
Trade Spine. Yep, there
Yeah.
it is.
That's the main. So it's basically, it would be like saying it's off the main highway.
Okay.
But a bit. It's nowhere near where you guys were before. That is just one of the most populous trade routes.
Okay.
So he, gives you the the name of the planet. He says you're going to be meeting there, landing on site, and speaking. Your contact is Gavir Arnren.
Okay. Excellent. Well, he looks at Asara. You have any questions? Seems pretty straightforward so far.
Should be interesting.
Then he looks back to Lord Taranar. Is there anything that you needed us to do beyond that, or is this what we have at the moment?
No, this is all we have currently. It should be fine. Again, it's coming specifically from the Fulcrum network, so I don't have any reason to distrust the contact.
Excellent. Well then, we'll let everybody know. And we'll take off as soon as possible.
Fantastic. Did you have any additional questions for me?
Since you ask, how much so far do you know about Fulcrum or this Fulcrum network? I mean, it seems like we're all on the same side, more or less, but any details?
Well, I have never met the individual. Well, I should say, it's likely an individual that I'm speaking with frequently, but I'm sure that there's more to the network than just one person. I've never met this particular individual, but we seem to know some of the same individuals, which leads me to believe that they have probably been at this a little bit longer than I have. But we share some of the same contacts, so I think that's how they obtained my information and went from there. But from what I've been able to ascertain, they seem to be somebody who is linked into separate rebel cells and coordinating them from there.
Interesting. Well, that's great. And we were just talking about how it must be difficult to try to organize everything, but it seems like Fulcrum is trying to do that duty then.
I'm not too sure how deep their hands are in the pie, but it would seem that if they're not the ones pulling or calling the shots directly, they are tied to perhaps a very small but capable network of individuals who can.
All right. Good to know. Well, excellent. Then we'll get to it. Lord Taranar, thank you for this, and as always, may the Force be with you. Gets up and heads out with Asara. Go ahead and meet with everybody else in the lounge. And then he walks up next to Jairus, and then he grabs the finger food, and he's like, God, I love these things. God. He looks over to Jairus. These are great. Have you had these?
All too often.
Oh. Right. That makes sense. Well. All right. So, so far, it's a relatively simple plan. It's going to be a meetup. Don't know what's going to happen there or afterwards, but Lord Taranar is contacted by the Fulcrum Network, and we are to meet one of their contacts on a planet that's just off the Carillion Trade Spine. our contact's name is Gavr Arnren, and they will take us to the actual meet. For what purpose this is, not exactly sure, but we'll find out when we get there. So if anybody has anything they need to get accomplished, get that done, and we'll take off ASAP.
Can we tell how far away it is?
Actually, yeah. Let me get the map.
Get the map. Get the map. Get the map. Get the map.
It's the place you want to get. Just there, I bet here in the map. All right.
I am going to pick up a skill for the droid.
Yeah, Davey gave us a Skeletor laugh for that. Thank you. So it is going to be in the expansion region.
Expansion.
Where is it? Jerry, did you hear me?
Ah,
Was that a yes or a no?
you asked if I heard you. I said, "Ha."
I was asking if you heard the thing before that where I'm going to pick up a skill for one of my droids.
Okay, what are you picking up?
Communications.
Okay. That is definitely something you can get without having any red flags.
I thought so.
That's not what it's going to be. Let me get that. Hold up. Discussion.
And another attribute, but I don't want to hold up game for that. So
Okay, so we're in the colonies, heading to expansion. That's 48 hours travel time one way.
Okay. So I'll go say goodbye to the boys.
Perfect.
Specifically,
Yeah,
specifically Merrick.
Yeah, she would follow and go with Nasara.
Okay. Sure. So, when you two go and check on the boys at the estate there, they are out they're out on one of the lawns that is attached or just off of the topiary maze garden that they have on site, and you can see that they have like these controllers in their hands and they're playing with drones flying around that look like generic starfighters, buzzing them around and diving near the water or trying to do like barrel rolls near some of the important statues and whatnot that are on site, because boys would do that. So as you guys approach, Merrick comes running up to give a hug to Nasara. Hi, Mom. And Nesta's all, hi, Merrick's mom. Kind of gives like a little wave.
She waves to him and then she hugs Merrick and she says, I've got a mission. I'll be gone for a few days.
So Merrick just kind of shrugs. He's like, I mean, okay, I get it, Mom.
Remember not to fly these remember only to fly them in the areas that Lord Toronar said is okay.
I know. We're not gonna do that again.
And remember to do your chores, because I'm going to get a report from the Baroness and that will be directly related to whether you get the upgrade.
Oh, right.
She'll kiss him on the top of the head.
And so Nestos looks to Ashijak, and he says, "Yeah, I was told that if I did chores, I could get money too, and getting money is cool because then I can buy like this really big drone thing that we want to get, and it's awesome."
Well, I'm glad that you are helping out.
I'm doing my best.
How are your studies coming along?
Okay.
Well, your language is getting better.
Yeah. G helps me with that a lot.
That's good.
Uh,
Well,
but but he's like, I think somebody had a talk with my teacher, so I'm getting like extra. Miss Merrick's mom, what's that? The T word? It's not
tutoring?
Tutoring?
tutoring. Why does that always sound like gas? Is
Actually,
that
it
really
does,
what the
doesn't
world?
it?
Is that what the word's supposed to be? And Merrick kind of giggles. He says
No, no,
he tutoring.
no. It just means that you're getting extra help.
Yeah, so I guess I'm getting extra help so I don't fall behind.
That's good. Well, we are having to go on another mission. So continue with your studies. Listen to the Baroness and to Jeeves. And maybe I can bring you back something.
Oh, cool. Okay. Um. Yeah, I'll do my best.
Okay.
I'm
So,
kind of having to rely on Merrick to tell me what like the chores are. It's different here than at home.
yeah, I can imagine. So she'll give him a kiss on the head, give him a hug, and she will leave with Nassar.
Okay. And as they're going, Merrick just kind of waves, "Bye, mom." And Nessus is all, "Bye, Merrick's mom."
Bye, boys. As they're walking away, she'll tell Ashi, when I took them into town the other day and we picked out these droids, I suggested um, relying on their grades to earn, the privilege. And Nestos was just super discouraged. And I asked him what the problem was. He said that his teacher
This is a reminder.
his teacher kept giving him marks about needing improvement, and uh, turns out that his teacher was not made aware that he's not from here and was just treating him like a regular boy, which is great, except he was really discouraged. So I spoke to Lord Toronar, and he seemed, I don't know what he told the teacher. I know he wanted to kind of keep Nessos's origin secret, but
Right.
seems to have improved.
Good.
So,
Good. Yeah, I'm getting used to having him around.
me too.
Yeah. You know,
They make a good
we
pair.
we were taught not to have attachments,
Oh yeah.
even though it does happen.
Do you get in trouble?
I don't really know what the discipline would be for that. I've never came across anybody that I would want something like that with. And I never really thought about having children. That was like the farthest thing from my mind. But having Nestos, it makes me realize what I'm missing.
It changes your world.
Yeah. I mean, and I know that he's going to have to leave, eventually, and so he can be trained properly. But I kind of wonder if that's how my parents felt when I left at a very young age.
Speaking as a parent, it probably was. I mean, you've said before that in your culture, being taken to train as a Jedi was a great honor, but
Yeah,
um,
it brought honor to my family, yes, and kind of
still,
popped them up in the ranks. But
I'm sure they still missed you. You haven't been in contact with them at all since then, have you?
I haven't been in contact with them since the Clone Wars. They don't even know if I'm dead or alive, and it's better that way, at least for now.
It breaks my heart to hear that, but I understand with the political situation being what it is.
Well, even with that, if something was to happen to my family because the Empire knew I was alive,
They could threaten your family to get to you.
and to be honest with you, I don't know how I would handle that.
I see.
So it's just better not to have any communication from anybody from my planet, actually. And luckily, I haven't run into anybody that I know, but it's a pretty big space out there.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad that you've got us.
I am too. You know, meeting Drade, it was good because I've been by myself for so long, and I was young to begin with when the Clone Wars broke out, and then I found myself alone with nobody that I knew, and finding that I'm considered a traitor to the Empire. It hasn't been easy.
Yeah.
But yes, you guys are like family to me. Drade is like a brother, and I am happy to have him.
Montan is like a mascot.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
All right, let's get back.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sure Drade's pacing.
So we'll head back.
So you head back. You take the shuttle back up to the Pelagian star, which is in orbit, and climb back on board the Blue Saber. And lickety split, you guys are off without much ado. Getting to the Earlian Trade Spire, or Spine, I should say, is not hard. It's pretty uneventful. You do get stopped once en route there, but it was a matter of they were stopping every ship that came through. So it was quite literally like coming up to a DUI stop.
Right.
It's like you get dropped out of hyperspace and there's like 5 other ships in line. Just like, oh, okay, well, whatever. And they're just they would just kind of go back and forth and make sure that everybody's got their papers in orders and not carrying any produce. Yeah.
Yeah.
not smuggling any illegal aliens from some other galaxy into this one.
Might
Ooh, we
be
do that.
unregistered nerf herders.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. It's like, you come, they pull up and you've got a Cylon Raider, inside, just like, that is the wrong setting.
I need that droid.
What's that?
I said I need that droid.
Yeah, exactly.
Ooh.
But you end up veering off of the spine onto a mostly disused but still valid hyperlane that takes you to this jungle planet. It has a comm buoy that's out there that basically just tells you that there's the planet is wild. There's no like settlement or any appropriate information. So if you are, or I should say, there's no settlements. There's no ship facilities. So if you're going here, you are essentially going out of the wild of your own volition, and there may be no assistance for you, sort of thing.
Okay. Do we have any like coordinates of
Yep.
where to go for this planet? Okay.
Mhm.
Heading there, of course.
So when you break the atmosphere and come in onto this planet, it looks and feels a lot like Dagobah, but nowhere near as dark. You know how like
Ooh.
Dagobah was always gloomy and dark.
Swampy.
Yeah, it's swampy, jungle, marshlands and whatnot, very thick. But when you start coming into where you're supposed to go to on the coordinates, you can see, for lack of a better term, it looks much like a Vietnam encampment. Like when you'd see them in the movies and you're bringing a helicopter in, it's like some people have leveled some places in here, so there's some openings, but otherwise there's growth interspersed all over the place. So it's clearly man-made to some degree.
Gotcha.
But it has that kind of feel to it, like just dropping down in, into the middle of some tropical zone, and there are docking platforms here, or say landing platforms, but basically all they are, from what you can tell, is they're slightly elevated, like maybe 2 feet off the ground, metal platforms where ships will just like descend and land onto it. And you can see that it's a mix of hastily put up prefabricated buildings, so usually just a couple sheets of metal, including some with sandbag based, but most of them are tents.
Okay.
As you end up coming down, you can see that there's a couple other starships here. It looks like they have one or two what appear to be the equivalent of people movers or some sort of like troop ship. And then they have like one or two starfighters, down at other ports, and then you're docking basically on one of the free ones that's open. As you come in, you can see there's already some droids on the landing pad as you were touching down, and when you open up the bay door, or the walkway, I should say.
Unbread!
I love the fact that anytime I say touchdown, Brittany will chime in with unbreaded. I do not hate this in the least.
He's not the word of the day.
It is. Yep.
That's funny. That is so funny.
It's better than screaming.
You're right.
Yeah, this is true. Touchdown on paper, breaded. So, but as it's coming down, you can see that there are some loader droids here that are bringing up certain pieces of equipment. There's also some worker droids that are just coming by for regular maintenance. Walking right up with an air of authority, who is barking orders at the other droids that are here, is a B-1 battle droid, which, if you don't know, those are the ones that say Roger Roger in the Clone Wars. He happens to have a Rogue One style helmet, so like the actual like commando helmet on. He has obviously some. He has a logo painted on one of his shoulders with like a little slight extended piece of armor. He's got kind of like some tactical mesh on that actually, and like a work belt that has like a fusion cutter, hydro spanner, like, you know, a couple tools, and, you know, he comes, you know, marching up as the thing comes down, and he says, "Who ye be? I'm looking for the man named Drade."
And you found the man named Drade.
Welcome. I take it then you are the operatives we been expecting.
If you're expecting the Void Hounds, you'd be correct.
Of course. He's looking around and he says, "Well, ain't she a beaut? Be a Gertrock freighter, is it not?"
That's right. 720. Heavily modified, but it's still kicking.
I can tell. 227, get a move on. And you know, droid comes, you know, marching back up there, and they start, you know, going through the routine, and he looks to you and he says, "Well, get your crew together and follow me. Oh, and a word of advice: don't be saluting none of our officers here. You never know when we be seeing snipers about. And the old saying goes, silent souls leave laser holes."
Understood. So we motions to the crew to follow, and we followed the B1.
Okay. This very much has a again, drawing from the Vietnam vibe, just very much like a fire base kind of feel. Like there's people going around doing something at all times in some degree, but it's also a mix of semi-relaxation. Like as you're walking through the encampment, you might see like one or two guys with grills set out who are like in the middle of cooking meals for some of their guys, like right next to the tents that they barrack in. You know, so it has kind of a very loose vibe to it. The logos, however, you guys are all seeing are where is it? Here we go. It's a welding torch crossed with a fusion cutter over a Starbird, which, if you guys don't know, that's the Rebel Alliance logo. It's actually called a Starbird. Okay. But the Starbird is partially made from scrap metal, and basically the base of it kind of looks like a bit of a broken cog.
Bit of a broken what?
Cog. You know how if you look at the normal Firebird emblem for the Rebels, it's just kind of like it's rounded out. And it looks almost kind of like it's got fiery wings on the side. Well, right. The bottom part of it instead looks kind of like a broken cog, but the rest of it looks similar, but made out of kind of scrap metal.
Nice. Okay.
You said a welding torch crossed with the Starbird?
A fusion cutter.
Fusion cutter.
I missed another part there.
That's okay. And so as you are, you know, walking along, obviously your guide, the droid, he says, "Oh, apologies, ye be calling me Hilltop. Ask anyone who Hilltop is, and I'll come running."
Pleasure to meet you, Hilltop.
And he looks around and he says, and he's like, "If it breaks, we'll fix it. If we can't fix it, we'll blow it up."
Montana's very curious about this droid. He's not poking at it, but he's watching it.
And as you continue on, he takes you to a tent. And when you get into the tent, the droid kind of snaps, you know, his feet together and, you know, fires a salute. And he says, "Sergeant, I have brought the operatives to you as per your request." The guy kind of looks up. He's a human. looks up. He's got a standard jumpsuit. He's got a standard jumpsuit, but it's green. Basically, most of the people here are wearing gear and fatigues very similar to what you would find in Rogue One.
Okay.
So you've got the drab grays, you got some beige. Very similar to, Korean, Vietnam War era repurposed military clothing.
Okay.
And he, looks to Hilltop and he says, "Dismiss, Hilltop." "Right away, Sergeant." And he, steps, turns, and marches back out.
Interesting.
And he says, "So, which one of you is the Captain Drade?"
That'd be me. I take it you're Mr. Gavin Anren.
He says, "Negative." He says, "That's our lieutenant."
Oh,
Lieutenant Anren currently is at the field right now. My name is Sergeant Halcyon. Welcome to the 73rd Rebel Combat Engineering Corps, also known as the Scrap Bees.
heard that name. It's making sense now. Well, we're here. How can we be of help?
Actually, you're here none too soon. We understood that your little group of operatives might be available for a task that we're looking into. My understanding is you operate a lot in the Outer Rim territories.
We have several times. I take it that's the next area of engagement or operation then.
That is correct. He says, I should probably refrain from going further until the lieutenant returns. So in the meantime, if you would like to wait, we have a tent nearby that we can have you and your crew stay at. You could remain in your ship if you would like, or if you would like to take a tour of our operations camp, you can, but please make sure you keep that close to the docks for the time being. And I don't know if Hilltop let you know, he's usually pretty diligent about this, but try not to salute any superior officers here. We don't know if there are snipers afoot.
Understood.
I would like the tour.
Sure. Tour sounds great.
Okay. Then, he ends up, shouting. He says, Hilltop! Yes, Sergeant! And he comes, marching back in quickly. He says, our new group of operatives have indicated they would like a tour, and I can think of nobody finer than our very own Hilltop. Right away, Sergeant! This way, everyone! Follow me!
Cool. Go ahead and follow.
Okay, so he walks with you, he walks out, and he says, before we begin, I'm a bit perplexed on how to address you. He says, my particular logic circuits are not ones that take into account royalty, sir. So should I be calling you Sir Drade? Sir Drade, sir?
Drade will suffice. If we're trying to be in the down low here, we'll keep it that way.
Of course, Captain. I will refer to you as Drade going forward. Excellent. So he gives you a preview of at least around the docking area of what it's like. Gives you kind of he also gives you a brief overview of what this group is all about. Their motto is build the fight to build. And as an engineering corps, a combat engineering corps, obviously they are skilled at fighting and demolitions, but primarily they are there as kind of like a task-oriented group. So they are often sent in ahead of time for building supply depots, defensive emplacements, bases that might need to be hidden. They're big on salvaging and converting Imperial wreckage, or just wreckage in general. And they're also sent in ahead of time for the construction of landing zones, starfighter repair bays. As they're a combat group, sometimes they're called in for rigging booby traps, sabotaging devices. But everyone here not only is an engineer of, as he indicates, sometimes ill repute, but every individual here is also good in a fight.
Montana's so happy. That's,
I
the whole
found my
time
people.
he's going to be asking a lot of high-level questions, like as an engineer. Just like, tell me how you do this. Tell me how this works.
Sure, yeah. Well, you can tell that their goal isn't to make it look pretty. Their goal is to make it functional.
Right.
Because often time is not on their side. So their objectives when they're putting something together is to make sure it's put together and it will do the job. So a lot of the salvage droids that are here often have, maybe the appropriate parts, but they're mismatched in colors, or
Function over form.
Yeah, exactly. Or certain buildings are used with like repurposed starship parts, shielding and whatnot. So it does have a slight junkyard kind of feel to it, but everything is organized. Nothing is just left over into a pile someplace. Like everything's got a place. But one of the things he tells you as he's giving you the tour, he says, he's like, the Empire builds with fear, we build with grit.
This is fair.
In another one, he ends up commenting, he says, you bring the fight, we'll build the ground under your feet.
This is
So,
a very
how much
impressive operation.
combat capability does it look like there is here?
There is. You're looking at. You're looking at probably a platoon worth of people here,
And enough combat equipment to support everyone using it?
Oh yeah. Not everybody is going to be, geared to the gills. It's not like, the Marines or whatnot, but, push come to shove, everybody's going to have a rifle. And they're probably going to have, like I mentioned when we're bringing in, they're going to have, 2 starfighters. They're probably going to have, some light infantry, 1 or 2 light infantry weapons on hand as well, for defense or striking purposes.
Funny, Jerry, when you were starting the stream and couldn't hear us, I was talking to the others about Montan becoming a saboteur.
Oh.
And looking at what skills I would need for that. And here you've landed us
Yeah.
right in the in the seat of it.
All right. Well, he has kind of, like I said, he's given you a little bit of a tour, primarily around the docks. Dockside didn't go further into the, encampment. But this, it's a lively platoon. Like they've done, it's clear, if there are people that are wet, if they have people here that are wet behind the ears, you can't really see them. Most everybody here has probably seen action somewhere, somehow. And they are, very clearly run the age range of probably mid-20s to some people grizzled veterans of 50 plus years. But everybody here clearly looks like they want to be here.
Well, if you guys ever lose me, look for me here.
Yeah. Hopefully we don't lose you, but right. That makes sense. Funny that we keep finding people that are right up your alley. When it comes to engineers, people who understand droids, computers.
Well, everybody needs engineers.
It's true. It's a good point. So he turns to Hilltop and goes, well, looks like the 73rd really has its act together. That's good to see.
Couldn't be prouder.
Have you folks seen any engagement on this world? Have you been ambushed or anything?
Negative, Captain. The idea is that we're not supposed to be in direct line of fire, but it does happen from time to time. No, we're here in a temporary form, looking for better digs, as I'm told.
It makes sense. Trying to find some place that's not off the beaten path, but yet hard to find by the Empire is a trick. I wish you all the best.
He says, and not for nothing, but did you know that some of the line of those Gurtok freighters were made at the same facility that I was made at?
Is that so? Well, I know there aren't a lot actually made now. You have to get them used, but say, how long have you been in operation?
And he says, in total, I've been in operation since the Clone Wars, sir.
Not bad. Then you actually did see action during the wars, then?
Affirmative. That's how I got my nickname. They called me Hilltop because that's where they found me.
Huh. Oh, interesting.
Dozens of bodies around me. Apparently went down in a fight.
Ah. And he turns to Montan and just does the whole eyebrow raise thing, wow. Yeah. Hey, are there any more like you around? Any other B1 units in this outfit?
Oh, not in this outfit, no. But there are a few about.
Good to know.
Does the 73rd make heavy use of droid soldiers?
We don't make use of much in the way of droid soldiers, but we do make use of droids in general, yes.
I'd like to, if we have some time, I would like to talk to your droid engineer. I'm a droid engineer, so.
Oh, well, welcome.
Like
I never try to assume with no Bothan. Sometimes you are more the political type.
Yeah, that's why I left.
Well, getting permission from the lieutenant then, when he's about, maybe we can introduce you to the others.
That would be excellent. Thank you.
Oh, of course. And then he kind of does one of these numbers. You see a little antenna kind of pop up. He says, it looks like the lieutenant is back, so if you will follow me, we will go back to the command tent.
Lead the way, Hilltop.
So as you guys are, marching back, he turns and he's looking at some of the droids, and he says, he's like, B5, step on it. Remember, there's a chemical bath waiting for anyone who overperforms. And you hear random beeps from some of the droids who are clearly excited about the fact that they can get, an upgraded cleaning. And based upon his interaction, it looks like they kind of use Hilltop as the seasoned vet to keep some of their other droids in line.
Right.
which obviously occupies his time and personality,
Yeah.
of which he has plenty.
Exactly.
But he steps back into the tent. When they're in the tent, he snaps a salute. Who there is actually there is somebody here bearing some lieutenant markings. With the sergeant that you just spoke to, and he says, "Lieutenant, I have brought the operatives per your request." He says, "Excellent, that'll do, Hilltop. At ease." "Aye, aye, Lieutenant." And turns, steps outside.
So then Drain walks forward and offers his hand. He's like, "Captain Drade Kenner, the Void Hounds, Lieutenant Gaver Anrin, I presume."
Yes, he says. Sergeant Halshin here was telling me that you had just arrived. I apologize. I was off-site looking something over for one of our contacts. He says, "I've heard great things about your particular group. Did you recently just rescued? Was it 150 citizens from some planet here recently?"
From Zephyr Prime. That's correct.
Excellent. And then what exactly, you'll have to forgive me, I didn't get a full briefing on your team, but what exactly does all of you do? What are your skill sets?
All of us here are combat capable in various forms, ranged, melee combat, special forms as well. I won't go into detail, but beyond that, we also have our droid engineer, Montan. We have bureaucratic support with our friend Jairus, and as well as Nasara. Myself and Ashi are some of the melee combatants I mentioned. And as far as what we're all capable of, well, just about anything. Point us toward a task, we can take care of it. We've been clandestine, we've been overt. If we need to adapt to a situation, we do.
That's good to know. How are you at scouting?
We've done some reconnaissance work. I take it that's the primary function you're needing us for?
That is correct. But more to the point, we're also looking for a more permanent location, if possible. We believe we've stumbled onto something, and he pulls off some physical maps, not actual electronic, but physical maps. He says, "Are you familiar with the planet Dega?"
Can I make a, planetary systems roll for that?
You sure can.
Okay. Oh, 6 on the wild die. 23.
Okay. You haven't actually been there directly, but Dega is a planet in the Dega system in Elrud, in the Elrud sector.
Okay. He says that's in the Elrud sector, if I'm not mistaken.
It is, actually. It is. He says the Dega planet, he says it's mostly a rocky wasteland, and it had hosted the Radel Mining Corporation back in the day. He says during the early years of the Galactic Empire, as we understand it, the world's minerals, the minerals and ore ran dry, and we believe Radel Mining Corporation has basically left it abandoned since. We believe that this particular location may well, for one, we need it scouted. We're looking for a viability of a semi-permanent location that would allow us to continue our operations with less obvious imperial scrutiny. He says the catch, however, is we believe there may be a separatist facility located somewhere in one of these abandoned mine shafts.
Do you think that they're still under previous orders all the way back from the Clone War, or has anything happened to them? Do you have any?
That's going to be part of what your task is to ascertain.
Understood.
If that is indeed the case, your particular tasks are to infiltrate the factory and determine if it's still operational, secure control of the factory's automated systems, and identify and recover any working droids and manufacturing equipment, and report back.
I'm sorry, give me that again. I'm just trying to type it down. See if the factory is operational.
1 sec.
Okay, sorry.
No, you're fine. I'm just going to copy it down and paste it in our Facebook chat.
Thank you.
Nice.
So then you can just copy and paste it for your notes. Teamwork makes a dream work. Oh, yeah.
Okay. Excellent. Do you have any particular timetable? I take it you'd want this accomplished as soon as possible, but is there a deadline?
That is correct. We don't know how much longer this particular facility is going to be safe, so the sooner the better.
All right. And he looks at the team. Anybody think of any questions before we depart?
No, I have none.
Well, let's assume we are successful and we do locate this suspected concentration. What do we do next?
You would send us word. We will then pack up and come secure the facility, and then begin our operations anew.
So hold it till you get there?
Correct.
Excellent. Well, it seems like that's all we need for the moment, except if we can get some sort of a coded channel from you. That way we know how to contact you and not get tapped once we actually secure the location.
We can do that, and he ends up shouting, "Hilltop!" "Yes, sir!" Comes marching back in. He says, "How do you feel going on special assignment?" And so he pauses and he kind of looks around and he says, "Are you sure, Lieutenant? I ain't never been on special assignment in been many moons." And he says, I think you're the droid for the job, Hilltop." And he says, of course, Lieutenant. I will be of service." And snaps a salute. And he says, you will accompany our new operatives here and assist them with any questions that they might have. We know your expertise will fit in quite well, but specifically your knowledge of any separatist tech might be incredibly important. He says, them seps. Of course, I'll be happy to help, sir." He says, "Just bring me and the Bothan, we'll get it all taken care of." He says, and he's not a political minded one. So he says, I figured I could tell from his garb, Hilltop. He says, I'm sorry, sir. Just getting a bit excited.
Excellent. Glad to have Hilltop with us. we'll take off ASAP, get underway, and we'll contact you when everything's clear.
Excellent. May the force be with you.
May the force be with you. Turns and goes, all right, with us, Hilltop. Here we go, everybody.
Well, this should make Montan happy.
I think I see him vibrating over there.
Let's go.
Yeah. Is that what that is?
I mean, he's really I've never seen him smile so wide.
First, standing up a little bit.
Yeah.
For like no particular reason, Montan's just making hair biscuits.
Do bobbins purr?
They do now.
So Hilltop runs off. He comes running back at this point. He's got a backpack with potential extra gear, with his blaster rifle slung over his shoulder. And he says, "Lead on, Captain."
Excellent. By the way, Hilltop, while we are on duty and on the ship, you can actually refer to Montan as your immediate superior. When we're actually in tactical combat, you'll be referring to my orders, just so you're aware.
Of course. Absolutely. Thank you for clarifying the chain of command, sir.
Of course.
I'm in charge of something.
So you guys go back up onto your ship at this point, and he's just he's looking around, and he's like,
Oh, Gertuk freighters. It's a good scent it is. Me nose knows.
Do you have olfactory sensors? Wow.
so
You are heavily modified.
he's looking around and he says,
Oh, I see. You've got after ship modification or after stock modifications. This be a droid lock.
Yes.
and of course that's T4, and he's like, "Oh, well, would you look at that?
I ain't never seen a T4 before."
So he clunks him on top of the head, and he says,
They don't make them like this no more.
Hey. No more hitting the droids. Except our cargo lifter. He likes a fight.
So at this point, Hilltop stows his gear and is just kind of taking a tour, of the freighter, just looking around and getting a feel for it.
Yep. Sweet. So then once everybody gets on board, do the whole pre-flight check, and then take off.
Come in, you royal boob.
Dega.
Okay. Dega, of course, is in the Outer Rim, so you need to pull this back up here. Let's see, where did we say we were again? No, didn't want to do that.
We went to the expansions, and now that we're in the expansion region, headed to the
Outer Rim.
Outer Rim. It's another 48 hours.
Another 48 hours. Perfect. Okay. So pick up flight and head on out. All right. So you guys head over to the Elrude sector, secondary home turf, essentially.
I like that we're going to have these guys in our backyard if this works out.
Yeah.
All the more reason for you guys to want it to work out.
Yeah, exactly.
So when you drop back into the Elrude sector, obviously it's a couple more hours to eventually get to the Dega system itself. Of course, you get checkbacks, coming in from the comm buoys, kind of letting you know. Radel Mining Corporation, of course, still flags from this, but the The marker update on it is very old. It's like 10 years out of date.
Gotcha.
In fact, I even have a picture to provide you. I'll post it up the Facebook chat. So you can kind of get a good view of what it looks like.
Oh,
Okay.
So when you get there, obviously one of the first things your sensors comes back with is there is a good bit of pollution. Oh, thank you very much for the raid, Ampsand. I think it's how I pronounce that. Just
Yeah.
got rated for 17 viewers.
oh
Huzzah!
welcome.
Nice.
Now I'm self-conscious.
But the systems do ping and let you know that it is polluted. So the oxygen masks may be something you want to wear, but obviously not a requirement. It's not that polluted. The pollution equivalency here would be the pollution equivalency would be like LA on a very bad day.
Ugh.
So you could see it, gray kind of skies, but not so much that you have to worry about prolonged exposure unless you got
It's California bad,
Allergies.
not China bad.
there you go, yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, I mean, don't trust air you can't see, right?
Sure. But that is so the basically the plant life on this planet here is scarce, and the water, what can be found of it, does appear to be poisoned by chemical wastes. The monstrous crusted chunks of obsolete mining equipment and smelting facilities, all judged too old and useless to incur the expense of moving them off planet, are a common sight here. The planet's surface bears deep scars and holes from the various mining operations here. The system does tell you that the ground underneath Dega's surface is probably honeycombed with mining tunnels. So it does warn you. It does not have a running total of tunnels, which are listed as unsafe and they could be prone to collapse. So a lot of warnings and precautions, obviously to come up with.
Okay. Is there any other civilization, or is this literally the only point of this world that it was just a mining planet?
It does. The system does tell you that there is an estimated population of 10,000 on the planet.
Okay.
Which is, when you think about a planet, almost
Like
a complete ghost town.
Yeah. Okay. Does it indicate that any of that population is near where we plan on touching down?
No,
for the
it doesn't give any indication as to where that's at.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
This would be like coming up to what would be almost a ghost town and looking at the Chamber of Commerce sign that gives an estimate. It's not going to tell you where.
Okay.
It's just you're going to have to guess, and hopefully there's something out there.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Well, we'll scan for anywhere that looks like it's a valid landing spot.
Who's on sensors?
Guess that's probably me. Who's on first?
What?
I said, who's on first?
What?
Ooh.
Nice.
No, what's on first?
Yeah.
17.
17, okay. So as you lay into the sensors and it's doing kind of a clean sweep around the surface, you take about a good 15 minutes to make sure, the pass in the vicinity that you're at, you give it a good chance to double check. You do find an area that does not appear to be crisscrossed with tunnels underneath as far as your scanners can tell, so it should be safe to land on the surface.
Okay, I suggest this area.
Got it. All right, everybody, strap in. Gonna land. Make sure that it's safe here. Don't want to land on unstable ground and make a sinkhole. So just brace in case anything gives way. So we go ahead and start the landing procedure.
All right. Why don't you go ahead and give me a piloting check?
Right.
Just don't roll a 1.
Right.
Not like Nestos' planet.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
18.
Yeah, so you are good. So you bring it in nice and slow, touchdown about as gentle as you could. As soon as the doors come down on the Gertok freighter, yeah, it stinks out there.
Okay.
It's got that chemical kind of just not clean smell.
Do we have rebreathers or
Yeah.
any sort of filtering masks?
Mhm.
Yeah, I'll have
Yeah,
one.
I would think so.
Yeah, I suggest for every one of us who's organic, get a rebreather, because sure, it's doable up top, but as we get into the mining shafts, it might get worse.
Bring in T4 and the cargo droid.
Okay. So,
At Hilltop.
well, right, yeah.
Yeah, this is one of those situations where we don't have to really worry about subtlety. So Jairus will have his full loadout going.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. So at that point, you end up seeing, you see Hilltop get his gear together, stick some binoculars on top of the helmet, and holsters his blaster rifle, in a forward fixed position, and starts marching off, to take a look around with the rest of the group.
Excellent. So when we're outside the ship looking around, what buildings do we see near this landing area?
There are no buildings near this particular landing area.
It's not, okay.
Now there are some holes, obviously.
Yeah.
None of which are super big. They don't appear to be man-made in the sense that they were dug, like with big machines and whatnot. If you guys want to give me some rolls, I believe it's I keep getting these confused. I think it's search, right?
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think so.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Which is under what? Perception or knowledge?
Mhm.
Yes. Perception.
Perception.
It's had the same for me, so. $11.
This is /R, right?
Yep, /R.
Yeah.
R.
Actually, I got 11 and you got 15.
Oh, right. I got 15.
I got a 17.
Nice.
Anybody else rolling?
No, Sarah?
Sorry, what am I rolling again?
Search.
Apparently nothing.
Oh no.
Ooh,
Well, she found it.
And you got a 6.
Yep.
So 24.
24.
Nice.
Sweet.
She found the center of the planet.
So, as you guys step out, start looking around, investigating. Some guy starts breaking out in a joke, and he starts looking around, and he starts feeling up on the trees. And he turns and looks at Sarah, and he says, "I know who we are. We are Pluto." And somebody else looks at him and he says, "Oh, how can you tell?" "From the bark, you dummies!"
The block.
Sorry, Spaceballs joke.
Yeah.
Anyways, as you guys start looking around, Desara, having actually worked in the mining sector of Exal's one of his businesses for a bit, because you've been involved with getting some of the
Refugees.
repossessed and refugee Twi'leks, helping to find
Yes.
them applicable work. You've picked up a little bit. Obviously, you're not a miner, at heart, but you were able to pick up a little bit, and you can tell some of the holes in here that are nearby. Like I mentioned, they weren't drilled; these were collapsed holes. So that meant somewhere nearby, there's probably a bigger cave or mining shaft that opens up that probably led into these.
Okay, so I'll point that out to the group and indicate the areas.
All right.
And based on your assertion there, Nasara, you probably want to go left. So,
This way.
All right.
and then she takes a moment. When somebody says, "You're holding the device upside down," looks at it again. Oh, this way. Galaxy Quest joke. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Miners, not miners.
Exactly. What? But so you end up cutting left away from the ship. Hilltop is actually on point, instinctively, just kind of staying in front, keeping an eye out. And as you get to this particular mining shaft, the mining shaft, from the looks of it, it actually it doesn't go straight down. It actually goes down at a gradual path, like they probably lined up the drill unit, drilled down a bit, and then it just kind of went down at about a 45-degree angle.
All right.
You can see the remains of tracks that are along the ground, where they used old school mining carts to pull things in or out.
Stuff with wheels? It's crazy.
Let's walk down.
Okay.
As we're about to walk down, Drade turns to Ashi and he points his own head and goes, "Be aware of danger as we're going through."
She'll nod.
And with that, Drade is going to activate Danger Sense.
Yes. So is Ashi.
And that's a sense roll. Right, he's not going to sense any danger. That's 1 on the wild die. Cool.
All right.
Or he's going to sense danger everywhere.
I think all of you are dangerous.
Well, it is a cave. I mean, it could be just creepy.
I got 12.
Okay.
12. Okay, so that should do it. Yeah, because it typically takes a moderate to activate.
Okay. So Asha Jack's danger sense is up. Listen, do you smell something?
Ghostbusters.
Yep. So you end up seeing Hilltop flip a little lamp on his helmet. And there's some illumination now as you guys go walking down into the shaft. You can see that there, at the base where this is at, you can see that there are 2 wheeled carts that remain. But these particular carts are rusted to the extent that it would be the equivalent of looking at mine carts that we would find from the old mine days that have been left outside in the sun to bake. They've just got that highly oxidized, kind of stained rust look to them, probably frozen into position currently because they've just rusted together.
Sure.
Just the elements have taken a beating on these two. But the carts in question, they're actually pretty big.
Are there like tracks that these carts would be on? Okay.
I want to see if the droid can See if you can knock the rust off. See if you can get it rolling.
The loader droid?
Yeah.
Sure. Why don't you go ahead and give me a strength check? Said loader droid.
28.
All right. So he just walks over to it for a second, kind of grabs it with both arms, and push. There's a loud screeching, as he's trying to force one of the carts to to start moving. He can clearly get it to move, but the wheels are frozen together.
Okay. Let's leave it.
You think we might want to actually, before we go any further, take that repulsor lift cart that we have on the ship down here, or maybe wait until we find something before getting that?
Yeah, I didn't think about that. All right, my little platform.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good idea. I guess I'll go back for it.
Okay.
All right.
I'll go with him, just to make sure
It
he's
doesn't really take passengers that well.
Yes.
Right, but
It's-
it'll carry things.
My point is, if I walk back and Ashley walks with me, which I appreciate, then I'll have, something flying to come back, and she will either have to hang off the bottom or walk back.
Oh, well, I mean, we can either use that or we just have that basic repulsor lift pallet that can just carry items or objects if we need to move things out of the way. Unless you think your loader droid will just be up to the task to carry anything that we need.
I mean, that's why I got him.
All right. We should be fine then.
Okay. So you go further in. At this point, there's no ambient sun. You guys are going to need something illumination outside of the helmet, which you can see wherever Hilltop is going because he's got the helmet lamp.
Let's see. Any of us have...
I'm gonna cast Lumos.
Wow, cool.
Which that will turn the light on in your Android phone. Speak into it.
Ooh, I never tried that.
Yeah. Turn it. Take your phone, turn it on.
Oh, yeah.
Put it on.
Lumos?
Yeah. Speak into it and say Lumos.
And Nox to turn it on.
Yeah.
I'll have to try that. Not on camera because I don't know how to do voice commands on my phone.
And before we end tonight, we need to do XP. So.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
So, and in fact, that's I think where we're going to stop for the evening right here, as we're getting ready to go in, because that's 2 hours. I'm wanting to be mindful of the fact that Matt may have a limited time schedule, so I want to pacing wise, I want to try and keep within that. So, I had a chance to get some good RP. And whatnot. So before we sign off for the evening, we need to do RP votes. Give me that. Doggone it. So let's start off with Dale.
I figured this out early in the episode. It's gonna go to Matt for the finger food thing. That was funny. I liked it.
Okay. All right. Shelly.
It's going to go to our little furry friend.
So Hilltop.
Colin? Colin's not even here. Much love, Colin.
Okay. Mike.
I'm going to give it to Shelly because she set up this entire heartbreaking arc that she's going to have to go through with building an attachment to Nestos, and there's no good way out of that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair. Okay. Brittany.
I'm gonna go to Mike for being excited about this place.
Okay.
Let's go.
That the hair vibrating and purring is what got me.
I
Now
forget
the
what-
vibrating thing, that's because Drade is only seeing his energy, right?
Probably.
No, that's Montan becoming full Beavis.
You see the vibrate, yeah.
Droids.
Yeah, he just pulls his uniform up part of his head. And he's like, "I need droids for my bunghole," and it's just like
Droids.
spazzing with his hair.
I don't need that mental picture.
I know, right, Matt?
Well, I would like to split it between Brittany and Shell for that full conversation because it was a two-way conversation. But I think having to go with one person, I would go with Brittany just because she set up the conversation.
Okay, so we have a two-way split. So why don't we go ahead and roll it off in the chat? Just roll 1d6. I got a 4. Brittany,
Well, I only got one vote, right?
I thought you got 2.
I think Shelly got one. and a
I got
half.
one.
Oh,
She got
never mind.
one from me.
So then Mike, I thought Brittany had 2. So basically, Shelly got 1, Brittany
I
got
think not.
1, Matt got 1, Mike got 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so Mike, so you get 2 points.
Yay! Thank you.
He rolled the highest roll against himself.
So go ahead and roll 1d6 plus 1 to see how many character points we get for this particular month. Do we have any birthdays?
Mine was Sunday.
And we didn't roll last month, so
God. Never let me roll XP again.
okay. So we've got 3 there. Matt, why don't you go ahead and roll 1d6 plus 1 again for birthday XP?
Let us see. You said 1d6 plus 1?
Yes.
Plus 1.
Okay. So we have 7 total for the month. Mike picks up 2 for the RP vote.
Nice.
So congrats there. Obviously, so those of you who are still watching, we have 2 more games coming up this week. This Friday, we have at 7:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, we have Mythic Savannah, our World of Darkness mixed genre game. And then on Saturday, we're picking up with our Modern Age Heroes, which is our Marvel Superheroes game. That starts at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time now, since everybody else changed time zones. Thank you guys for hanging out with us. Thank you guys for the raids and the follows, and we will catch you all again next time. Good night, guys.
Good night.